Good afternoon. I'm Allison Mills, and I'm the Executive Director of the National Association of Lesson and Boarding Barns. And today we're going to talk about sometimes the dreaded insurances that we have to have in order to cover our businesses. But before we launch into that, just want to remind you guys of a couple of things. The contents of these videos is for your information only. You should seek legal counsel and expert advice from insurance brokers in your own state. Also, number two, NALBB does not endorse any particular insurance company. You should. There are many reputable and wonderful companies out there. Please seek the ones that operate in your state and will represent your companies well. Full disclosure, I am a client of American National Insurance Company who we're working with today. And with me is my agent, Brian Bickley, who's going to actually address all of our questions about necessary insurances. All right, well, let's launch into it. There's about 7 major insurances that we're going to discuss today. We're going to start first with liability insurance. What exactly is liability insurance and how does it cover us?
Okay, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you. And there's a variety of different operations. So we want to look at this in general, as you said, Allison, but the bottom line, liability is your exposure. Okay. And bottom line is you've got signage and waivers and also different protective agreements that you use in your operations, hopefully. Okay. Right. But you always have an exposure. And some people think that the waivers and the signage is all you need. No, you need an insurance policy because that gives you defense in the event that an occurrence happens.
Okay.
Bottom line is your exposure is whatever your operations is. It could be a single person with one horse that has no commercial operations. They still have exposure when they ride. That might be off the incidental off your homeowners, or you might need a farm policy with equine endorsed to it, depending on your state and your particular company.
Okay.
Now, the bottom line is we mentioned those waivers before. The signage, I always want that in place. Even if it's a personal one-horse operation, you ought to have in Virginia, we have the Virginia Equine Act.
Right.
We want to post that. Each state has a statute that protects you in the event that you have an occurrence if you've done nothing wrong. But again, we got to watch these waivers and the signage, because if you say you had one of your clients bring a dog around the stable, well, then the dog is not addressed in the Equine Act, and you brought a foreign object into your exposure.
Oh.
That's why you would have an insurance policy.
Okay.
Did you do anything negligent? Did one of your clients bring a dog on the premises when you'd said no dogs? Did the dog cause the occurrence? I'm giving the example, but that's why you need an insurance policy. First of all, it gives you defense if you did anything wrong.
So that's a great point. Horses and dogs, they seem to go together, right? We have people bring their dogs to our property all the time. So are you saying that someone who brings their dog, one of my clients, on a leash, that dog would happen to bite a child, a rider of mine, not, just a client, who's responsible in that moment then?
Okay, well, it's your stable, okay,
Right.
and your operations. So you would be potentially held first primary, but it's the person's dog. We would actually go back if we paid a claim and there was an incident and you were found liable. Okay, the dog attacked another client or whatever. Okay, or a horse. Okay,
Right.
That's your property. That's
Right.
damage to your property. But the bottom line is we could possibly pay the claim first party, and then we would subrogate it. We would go after the person that owned the dog.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. But
Okay.
my example is I bring that dog into it. That kind of disqualifies the Equine Act. That's why you need an insurance policy, which would end up potentially paying for one party or the other if there was an occurrence.
Okay. And what kind of coverage, how much, what are amounts of coverage are you recommend? Is the general
These days, and you're talking about horses,
Right.
okay, equine,
Right.
things happen quick. And if something happens, I don't have that many incidents on the equine farms, but when something does happen, it's serious. I just had a lady, horse kicked her right in the face with a horseshoe, okay, with shoes on, and it just tore up her whole jaw. Bottom line is she was a volunteer at a therapeutic barn, walked up in the middle of some fillies. They spooked, they flushed, and one of them just turned around and kicked her.
Ooh.
Okay.
Ooh.
Unpredictable. Okay.
Right.
That's why we have the insurance policy.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Perfect.
And what limits you just asked me?
Yeah.
I would never, any operator these days and times, you need $1 million limit.
Okay.
For anybody.
Right.
But if you're running a commercial operation, such as the lesson barn or the boarding barn, you want to look at an umbrella, an excess umbrella on top of your $1 million limit.
Okay.